that the body was mistreated.
Yeah.
It looked abused. It looked like he was tortured. Looked as if he was burnt, maybe.
Guys, I need you to hear me on this one, because another wave of information is coming out in the Nolan Wells case. And this time, we're hearing claims about Nolan's body, his phone, Snapchat data, the DA's response, Reverend Al Sharpton, the CTOW call, and a statement about whether Nolan could actually be heard in the background. And I'm telling you right now, some of these claims are extremely serious. But before we get emotional, before we start pointing fingers, and before anybody decides they know exactly what happened, we're going to slow this down. Because there is a difference between something somebody claims, something somebody believes, and something we can actually prove. And guys, if you're a person of faith, keep Nolan and his family in your prayers. Pray that the truth comes out. Pray that the people who genuinely know what happened find the courage to speak. And pray that this investigation doesn't get buried underneath noise, rumors, and internet theories. And if you've been following this case with us, hit that like button, subscribe to the Black Docket, and share this video. We're going to keep following these developments, but we're going to do it responsibly, separating the claims from what can actually be verified. Now, before we get into these clips, check the description. I've got useful everyday household products listed there, so if you're looking for something for your home, take a look and support the channel while you're there, because every bit of support helps us keep bringing these cases to you. Now, let's start with the most disturbing claim of this entire update.
This an update on Nolan Wells, and if you don't like no cussing, scroll the fuck up. Did y'all see the video of the two girls explaining how they knew somebody that was in the autopsy field? And out of all the bodies that was getting transferred, they treated his body the worst, had him face down when Noel's body was transferred, and how disrespectful they had treated his body.
So today I got a call from that person, and they were just talking about the body that they
Came across. This was Nolan Wells.
So before knowing all that, he said that the body was mistreated.
Yeah.
It looked abused. It looked like he was tortured. Looked as if he was burnt, maybe.
Where?
Face, body, said he was burnt.
And not only that, his body was mistreated when they transported him.
So as they were transporting him, he was actually face down. So everyone knows when you're transporting a body, when, only a couple of people work that job, they all know you don't transport the body face down. It's kind of very disrespectful. So you always have them face up. Well, specifically his body whatever reason, was face down. And me personally, I took that as disrespect.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to the family.
Yes, definitely.
Because all we know is what they put out
On the internet.
But today, we
What's
actually
real?
found out a lot about his autopsy without even reading the autopsy.
You heard her. She said that the body looked like it was tortured, burnt. He had bruises all over his body. That don't seem like no drown or nothing. Hear me out. I feel like they did what they did at that party, that everybody floating around at the pool. Then they took his body back to the island and made it seem like they don't know what happened to him. I'm telling you, this shit pissed me off. Everybody that was involved, all the friends that was around him, all the friends' names that's popping up, whoever that was with him on that day need to get charged. Even the people who's covering it up, lock them all up, man. This shit don't seem right. It ain't adding up. And it might not end right because y'all playing.
Guys, stop right there, because that is an extremely serious claim. The person in this clip is saying they received information from someone connected to the handling or transfer of Nolan's body. And the claim being repeated is that Nolan's body appeared to have been mistreated, with descriptions including bruising, possible burns, and an appearance that the source interpreted as possible torture. But I want to slow this down, because there's a massive difference between someone said the body looked abused and the autopsy proved Nolan was tortured. We cannot make that leap. The source itself says they're learning information about the autopsy without actually having the autopsy report in front of them. So what do we actually have? We have an account, we have a description, and we have questions. That's it. And if those observations are accurate, then the obvious question becomes, what does the official autopsy actually say? Because that's where this gets interesting. Not TikTok, not speculation, the report. And there's another claim coming up that involves something completely different. Nolan's phone.
Yeah, not Mr. Bobs came through with the tea and told us that Snapchat sends all of their users every 4th of July a happy 4th of July message, text message, whatever it is. You don't believe me? Let him tell you.
You gotta laugh at how stupid y'all are. So Snapchat will send you a text every holiday. Happy 4th, a whole thing. Y'all deleted that.
Because I know how y'all are is where's the proof? Here's the proof. I dropped it in chat and this is what he said. That we got the proof in the pudding. I think y'all deleted some stuff out the snap, out of the phone. I think y'all really did. Warren, you said he didn't take anything. He didn't. Your words. But have a great day, because that was some tea right there.
Now this is where the story takes another turn. Because the claim here isn't about Nolan's body. It's about digital evidence. The argument being presented is that Snapchat sends holiday-related messages, and that a message expected around July 4th was allegedly missing from Nolan's phone. And from there, the source raises the possibility that something may have been deleted from the device. But again, slow down. A missing message doesn't automatically prove someone deleted it. It doesn't automatically prove investigators removed something. And it doesn't establish who had access to the phone. There could be other explanations. But here's the question I think matters. If the message was normally generated automatically, can that be independently established? And if it was supposed to be present, what happened to it? Because that's something that could potentially be tested through digital records. And that brings us to something even bigger. Because while people online are debating what may or may not have been on Nolan's phone, the DA has now been discussing something else entirely.
Here's the problem with the DA's last statement on the Nolan Wells investigation. If you read it fast, or you're not a lawyer or a former prosecutor like me, you may have missed it. So let me show you. Right after Nolan's family's lawyers published letters they sent to her office, the DA told the press she doesn't have the same freedom as private individuals. People, she says, may publicly adopt a narrative and choose one fact over another, who may be able to control what bits of information they share, and whether it's in context, twisted, or misconstrued. I totally get that sometimes the DA can't publicly comment on an active investigation, but that's not all she said. The problem is the timing, the framing, and the selectivity with which the DA chooses to engage the media. You know when she was silent? When attorney Tyler Cox went on the Dan Abrams show with the narrative that the victim's family wasn't cooperating with her office. Crickets when Judge Ashley Cole, an elected judge with additional obligations under the judicial conduct rules, publicly shared bits of information surrounding an active investigation. But now, when the victim's family tries to clear up confusion, she decided it was time to go to the press and talk about misconstruing facts and choosing narratives. Only when Nolan's family's lawyers speak up. She says public commentary doesn't make a speaker transparent. But what is transparent is how questionable law enforcement's engagement has been with the victim's family. You know, the people who loved and raised Nolan. The people who just want answers.
Y'all, look at this. Do y'all see this? This was about an hour ago. But didn't Reverend Al Sharpton already tell y'all that he challenges, and now he's telling y'all right here that he welcomes this alleged litigation, because he said now that he can get the truth. He's been telling y'all, he told y'all that on at the funeral, and he says apparently while he was doing the visual on Nolan's birthday, he said that he didn't say, he doesn't know anyone's name or was specific, but he said 3 of those boys logged into the Zoom, because I guess they must have been Zooming the vigil, and they logged into it, and he said that he would appreciate for them to come forward. How is that defamation when he's asking questions? We all have the right to ask questions. But anyways, you see what he said right here? It's about to get messy, y'all.
This is where I think people need to separate frustration from evidence. The source is criticizing the DA's public response and specifically focusing on the timing and wording of that statement. The argument is essentially, why speak publicly now? Why respond after Nolan's family's attorneys released their letters? And why not respond when other public figures were discussing the case? Those are fair questions to ask. But they're still questions. We shouldn't turn them into conclusions about motive. The DA saying that public narratives can be selective or misconstrued does not prove the investigation is being mishandled. And silence from an office at an earlier point doesn't prove misconduct either. But it does highlight something important. The public only sees part of an active investigation. And that means we're always working with incomplete information. Now, the next development brings a very different name into this conversation. Reverend Al Sharpton. And this is where the story starts getting even more complicated.
Y'all remember on July 27th when Brandon Tatum shared the breaking news, which was supposedly the evidence of the young adults on the boat being towed, right? If you don't remember, let me show you right quick. More importantly, let me make sure we all see the date.
July 27th.
How is it that at this latest interview, that same exact evidence is now evidence of them on the phone with Cito?
I just want to make this very clear and abundantly clear for the audience. Are you saying that the video that I posted, which is like a 3-second loop, now I have a lot more of the video, but to not expose people that have nothing to do with this, I only posted the smaller part, the 3-second part. Are you saying during that time, a portion of that, why it was on the phone with Cito, so a portion of that is the Cito call, and that Nolan is not on that boat?
Correct.
Which one is it? How can the same set of photos and videos be used as evidence or proof of 2 different things? How is it also evidence of them being on the phone with Cito, calling for a tow, needing a tow, while also being towed? Make it make sense. See, the difference between me and Tatum is I've been transparent and honest since day one.
You put out, Brandon, that a clip of the boat when Wyatt was on the phone with Cito.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
You can literally almost see down to the deck.
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
And as you can see in that picture, everybody is completely casual while Wyatt's on the phone with Cito. Yeah. boldly clear that Nolan was not on the boat with us.
If we were sinking, yes. No, we're not aground. We are in 17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
Now listen carefully. The source is discussing Reverend Al Sharpton's response and his reported willingness to see litigation move forward because he believes it could help uncover the truth. There is also a claim that several individuals allegedly joined a Zoom connected to Nolan's birthday vigil. Again, we need to be careful. Someone appearing in a Zoom meeting does not establish involvement in Nolan's death. Someone asking questions doesn't establish guilt. And litigation itself doesn't mean someone has been proven right. But there is something important here. Public pressure is increasing. You've got the family, you've got attorneys, you've got activists, you've got online investigators, and you've got competing interpretations of the evidence. And when all of those voices start talking at once, it becomes even more important to return to the original evidence. Which brings us to what may be the biggest contradiction in this entire update: the boat.
Your girl is actually getting some rest today. And while I was getting some rest today, I went back and watched the second interview again. And I don't know if I shared this piece of gem with you guys, but let me share it with you just in case I haven't. Listen.
Oh, the audio comes back, and all of a sudden we can hear Nolan yelling in the background, screaming, we're screaming about how he's dead.
What did you just say, Warren? Let's slow it down.
Oh, the audio comes back, and all of a sudden we can hear Nolan yelling in the background, screaming, we're screaming.
At this point, we already know that the CTO call is real, but Warren yet confirms again himself out of his own mouth saying that Nolan was in the background screaming. And then you saw how he paused, and then he's saying, they just telling on themselves. Like, we wouldn't know, because from what I've known, no one has never said anything about, we literally are hearing Nolan screaming in the background. We've said a lot of people, other people that were on the boat were screaming, not Nolan. I digress, though. Just saying.
Okay, this is where I want everybody to take a breath, because we've just heard several different claims. Nolan's body, his phone, Snapchat, the DA, Reverend Al Sharpton, the boat, and now the CTOW call. And if you put all of those things together without slowing down, it can feel like we've suddenly solved the entire case. We haven't. But there are some questions here that absolutely deserve attention. Let's start with the CTOW footage. The argument being presented is that the same or related photographs, video, have apparently been used to support different interpretations of what was happening with the boat. One interpretation suggests the people were being towed. Another discussion presents the footage as showing people making the CTOW call. And that raises a very simple question. What exactly was happening at the time those images were recorded? Because those are not necessarily the same thing. If the footage was captured during the call, then we need to establish the timestamp. If the footage was from a different moment, then we need to establish that too. And this is why timestamps matter so much. Then we have the statement that Nolan was not on that boat. That's another claim we need to examine carefully. If Nolan wasn't there, then the next question becomes, where was Nolan at that point in the timeline? And that's the question that matters far more than arguing about one photograph. Because ultimately we're trying to reconstruct Nolan's movements. Where was he? Who was with him? When was he last definitively seen? What happened afterward? And what evidence places each person where they say they were? That's the timeline. Then there's the audio. The source is arguing that someone previously referenced hearing Nolan in the background of the CTOW call. That is potentially significant if the statement is accurately represented and if the audio can independently establish what is being heard. But we should not simply say, we can hear Nolan, unless that has actually been authenticated. Voice identification is not something we should settle through YouTube comments. The proper question is, has the recording been authenticated? And has Nolan's voice been independently identified? Because if it has, that's one thing. If it hasn't, then it's still an interpretation. And then there's the body claim. This might be the most emotionally difficult part of the entire update, because hearing someone describe a deceased person's body as bruised, burned, or appearing tortured is going to hit people emotionally. But emotion cannot substitute for the autopsy. If the official report eventually establishes injuries inconsistent with an accidental drowning or whatever manner of death is ultimately determined, then that would obviously matter. But until that report is available and properly understood, we have to call these statements what they are: claims, not conclusions. And the Snapchat issue has the same problem. A missing message can raise a question, but it doesn't automatically tell us who deleted it, when it was deleted, why it was deleted, or whether it was deleted at all. That's why digital evidence needs to be examined properly. Device extraction, cloud records, account records, metadata, server-side information. Those things can potentially answer questions that screenshots and social media arguments cannot. And then we have the DA. This is where I want to be particularly careful. An active investigation may contain information the public doesn't have. There can be legal restrictions. There can be investigative strategy. There can be information that authorities simply cannot release. So the fact that the DA doesn't answer every public allegation doesn't automatically mean something is being hidden. At the same time, the family's frustration deserves to be heard. Because from their perspective, they're not looking at this as an internet mystery. They're looking for answers about someone they loved. And that's the human being at the center of all of this. Nolan. Not the algorithm. Not TikTok. Not YouTube. Nolan. And then we have the religious side of this. I know many of you watching this have been praying for Nolan's family. So keep praying. Not for an internet theory to be proven. Not for a particular person to be blamed. Pray for the truth. Pray that whatever happened is uncovered. Pray that anyone who genuinely knows something has the courage to speak. And pray that Nolan's family gets answers that are based on evidence and not speculation. Because that's what justice requires. Now here's what I think we should be watching next. Number 1, the official autopsy findings. If the claims about Nolan's body are accurate, the official report matters enormously. Number 2, the digital evidence. If there are questions about missing Snapchat information, those questions should be answered through actual digital records. Number 3, the CTOW footage and audio. What date was the footage recorded? What time? Who was on the boat? Where was Nolan? And can the audio be authenticated? Number 4, the complete timeline. Not a TikTok timeline. Not a theory. Not someone's interpretation. A documented timeline. Who was where? When they were there? Who they spoke to? And what happened afterward? And this is where I want to challenge everyone watching. Don't just ask, who do you think did it? Ask, what evidence would prove that theory wrong? That's the difference between investigating and simply believing. Because if we're genuinely looking for the truth, we have to be willing to follow the evidence even when it doesn't support the theory we started with. So after everything you've just heard, we are left with a lot of questions. But we also have something important: a roadmap, the body, the phone, the Snapchat data, the DA's statement, the CTOW footage, the audio, the timeline. Those are the things that deserve scrutiny. And if new information comes out that confirms these claims, we'll tell you. If new information disproves them, we'll tell you that too. Because we're not here to manufacture a suspect. We're not here to convict somebody through a YouTube video. And we're definitely not here to turn speculation into fact. We're here to follow the evidence, wherever it leads. Guys, I want to hear from you. After everything we just watched, what is the biggest question you think needs to be answered next? Is it the condition of Nolan's body? The missing phone data? The Snapchat claim? The DA's response? The CTOW footage? Or the question of whether Nolan can actually be heard in that recording? Let me know in the comments. And if you're watching from somewhere around the world, tell me where you're watching from. Keep Nolan and his family in your prayers. If you want us to keep following this case, hit that like button, subscribe to the Black Docket, and share this video. And don't forget to check the description for those everyday household products. You might find something you actually need for your home, and your support helps us keep doing this work. Until the next update, stay sharp, stay prayerful, and most importantly, stay focused on the evidence.